This is Holly with voiceofthewoodlands.com, and I have Sam Riggs on the line to chat about the upcoming Conroe Cajun Catfish Festival. How are you, Sam?
I'm outstanding, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So you're going to be performing on Friday, October 14th at 8:30 on the Texas stage at the festival. Have you played this festival before?
No, we have not, but I'm excited to do it.
It's a lot of fun. It's 3 days of amazing music, great food, great atmosphere. So you'll enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We've done a few shows down there in the south, I guess you call it the southeast of Texas, and it's always just an awesome environment. I grew up down in the far southeast, down in Florida, and it's very similar to that. So it feels right at home.
Nice. So, Sam, kind of give me some history. How you got started in music? I mean, did you just one day just pick up a guitar and just start playing, or does your family have some musical background?
Well, sort of both. It was so my family definitely has some musical background. Growing up, my grandpa was a guitar picker and a banjo picker. My mom and both of my aunts played guitar. Had this old 1963 Gibson that's a classical guitar that's sitting in my bedroom right now, but that was my mama's, and she used to sing to my brother and I when we were real little, up until I guess almost the third grade, and we finally kind of grew out of it.
Right.
But she left that, she would leave that guitar laying around and for us to kind of pick up, and when I was 6, I sure did, just start picking it up and strumming on it, and kind of got serious about it. And she taught me a few chords here and there, and it was something that really just sort of grabbed a hold of me. So as I pursued guitar, she got me into guitar lessons, but I only went to 2 or 3 lessons because I've always sort of had just this issue with like drawing inside the line. So I never wanted to
Yes.
practice what I would get into practice. I just wanted to play what I want to play. So
Sure.
that's sort of what got it started, and that led to picking up the fiddle and the banjo and all that and the drums.
Nice. So when you were 19, you actually moved to Austin
Hmm.
and you started playing in like local cafes and bars. Is that where you
Yeah, when I was, so it was basically, growing up in the town that I grew up in, Florida, there wasn't much of a real blossoming music scene.
Sure.
And it was, I was pretty much settled with a choice of, Nashville or Austin. And I chose Austin because to me, it seemed to be more of a kind of whatever you want to do place.
Yes.
Which felt good to me. And so I moved to Austin, and yeah, I was a welder and a heavy equipment operator, and I just would work during the daytime, and anytime I could find a gig, I would play, covers and
Mm-hmm.
really terrible songs that I had written. And, it was kind of like this just, I don't know, I don't want to say carte blanche, but it was just this wild time in my life where I had been kind of had my feet held to the fire on, you're going to work cows, you're going to do construction, or you're going to do this, you're going to do that. So screw it, and I left, and so I was just trying anything and everything that I could. And it was a really fun, and the time of my life, and the best choice I ever made was to move away from home and play music.
Right. And I read that in 2011 you actually met Ray Wiley Hubbard.
Yeah. So I met his wonderful wife Judy before I met Ray, through a mutual friend, and Judy and I kind of hit it off. Sort of, I call Ray and Judy my magical musical godparents.
Aw, that's sweet.
And they're wonderful people, and they sort of picked up on my hunger fans direction.
Okay. Okay.
So they were kind of like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I've always kind of had this mentality of like, it's not that I don't get starstruck. I like being treated like a normal person. So I
Yes.
treat everybody like a normal person. And they appreciated that, I think. And
I'm exactly like you. I'm exactly like
yeah,
that.
everybody lives and dies. It's just the way it is.
Exactly.
But yeah, Judy sort of started quasi managing me, and Ray, sort of picked me up by the scruff of the neck and shook off my bad songwriting habits.
Mm-hmm.
And taught me a lot actually about songwriting and just being a songwriter, which is a challenge in of itself to build and maintain integrity in your music and in your work. And yeah, that's something that definitely changed my life for the better.
Well, that's great. And I'm glad that they picked up on your passion and kind of took you under their wing, and it seems to have worked out really, really well for you.
Yeah, had they not, I don't know where I'd be today.
Right? So tell me about your first debut album, Outrun the Sun. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I had put out 2 EPs before that. I put out my first EP, Shall Remain Nameless, and I don't know. I'm not a big fan of my first EP at all. I don't think anybody should. But,
Okay.
and then
Hey, you got to start somewhere, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, looking back, I mean, I was swinging for the fence. I was giving all I had, so I can't blame myself for that.
Sure.
But the Lighthouse EP came after that, which was around the time that Ray and Judy and I were working together. And then after that, Outrun the Sun. And Outrun the Sun was in 2013, and it was a record that would change everything. Things went from, I don't want to say really dismal, but just, I mean, I'm talking bed, bar, and steel, had my trailer that I lived in repossessed. I had my truck repossessed. I mean, things were just not shaking out financially. And I was trying anything and everything to get a gig and to keep a band and everything. And when I got the chance to go in the studio and record Outrun the Sun, everything changed. It was I don't want to say it was like I was fighting for my life, but when I got in the studio to make that record, there was no other option other than make the most badass record that I could possibly make. And so that's what we did with the help of Eric Hertz, my producer. He helped me to bring that to life. And then all of a sudden, here comes Rolling Stone. Here comes, all of these magazine and TV people want to talk, and it was I would say a paradigm shift for me. It was insane, and so I kind of jumped on that fast moving train and haven't gotten off since. But I would say that Outrun the Sun was the big kickoff to the beginning of one of the best games of my life.
Nice. And now you just released a new album in February of 2016. Tell me about Breathless.
So Breathless was a record that it was a follow-up record to Outrun the Sun, and for the longest time, when you take, I guess 2013 was October of 2013. So if I had released Breathless October this year, it would have been 3 years. So I guess about 2.5 years between records. Yeah. And when you put out a record like Outrun the Sun, I can't claim all the magic and power of Outrun the Sun. I mean, it's its own animal. You know what I mean? And,
sure.
And for the longest time, I was writing in the shadow of Outrun the Sun. There was a mountain of a record for me, and it changed my life. And so it was very daunting to be staring down the barrel of putting out another record that I didn't know was going to be better or even touch Outrun the Sun. Because it was my first record, and everybody talks about the sophomore slump. And I had all these people, well, any plans for another record? Are you facing the sophomore slump? And all that gets in your head, and you're just like, you just start to get this real heavy panic inside your chest of like, well, what if I don't put out a great record?
Right.
And so I was really struggling with that for a long time. So I don't know, it caused me to do all kinds of outlandish things. Our show got wild because I felt like I had to offset whatever was about to happen with a cool, really badass show.
Sure.
Which was a good thing, but I'd go in and out of these sort of slumps of depression and self-doubt. And finally, I was talking to Chad Camp, who's my best friend and my drummer, and I said, man, and he'd know, we talked about it. I said, what are we going to do? And he finally just said, man, we're never going to make Outrun the Sun again. We're never doing that again. He said, we have to do something completely different. And that sort of resonated with me. And so then he and I began to write what is now Breathless. And I got a chance to write with some incredible writers in Texas and in Nashville. And then and Chad and I wrote, I think, 5 or 6 of the songs on the record together. And what sort of started coming together was, I guess, the turning of the page. And once I was able to turn the page on Outrun the Sun, Breathless really started to take shape. And we had been touring so hard and running so hard that when we went into the studio, I mean, we didn't even take off to go into the studio. We were still playing every weekend. We were just in there all week long.
Wow.
And it was terrifying. We were excited, and we were afraid, and we were anxious, and more than anything, we were just worn out, wanted to smooth out. And so coming to the studio, we'd sleep in between takes, and I'd wake up and we'd work on this, and we had Chad's drums set up in this warehouse out in the back to get these huge drum sounds, and he was just sweating it out.
Wow.
In the Texas heat.
Sure.
And so long story short, Breathless became its own incredible thing, and it has its own sound, and it's a matured sound. It's a more of a raw, unfiltered, in-depth look at me as a human, and it's also a more sort of raw, in-depth look at the human state. Songs like Secondhand Smoke and One More Chance to Stay.
Those are both my favorites, by the way.
You do like those? Okay, good.
Yes.
Some people aren't into the slow, emotional thing, but it's people remember the sad songs, or the songs that really grab them by the heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the Lucky Ones is my favorite one, because that is you looking back into the past at what life was and what life is today, and you realize every bad hand you ever got dealt, and every short end of the stick you ever got handed really turned you into the hardworking person you are today. And I think that resonates so well with a lot of people, especially in Texas, because Texas is just built out of muscle and sweat and grit.
I could not agree more. And those are all three of those tracks are on Voice the Woodlands, just so you know.
Oh, thank you for doing that. That's incredible.
Yes. So, and your latest album was actually released on your own record label.
Yes.
So tell me did you just wake up one day and say, you know what, we need to have our own record label?
Well, it sort of happened that way.
Okay.
So I had a friend of mine, Thomas Turner from Ghostland Observatory, has his own record label called Trashy Moped Records.
Okay.
And I remember asking him one time, why do you have your own label instead of signing to a new one? He said, well, I have my own label. I'm the boss. Nobody tells me what to do. I make whatever kind of music I want to make. So far, it's working out. And that was just that's what I want. Right. So when we kind of started moving towards making this new record, and we had, we were kind of shopping around some demos of it and stuff. We had a few offers from a few major record labels that want to sit down and talk, and that was so exciting, But as I sat down and would hear what they had to say and things like that, it was well, we'd like to sit down and see what other songs find and this kind of. And I said, whoa. Said the record's ready. I mean, I feel great about it. And so what I decided inside was that I'm not ready for a major record deal yet, and that I needed my own record label to release this under, to make it legitimate and business-wise. And so I created Deep Creek Records. And Deep Creek came from my mother, actually. She's a writer. She's a novelist.
Oh.
And she has one of her books is called Walker's Island, and the sequel to Walker's Island is called Deep Creek. And, Deep Creek was always kind of this, cool, sort of dark, intending, sort of eerie kind of twist on it, right? And that's how the book is.
Okay. And
and I've always had kind of, all my songs are either about, ghosts or killing or, broken hearts or something. It's always kind of got this, dark edge on it. So I said, hey, Mom, what do you think about Deep Creek Records? She said, I love it.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, Creek Records it is, and that's what we released it under.
That's awesome.
And the time may come where I'm ready for a major record deal, but it also might not, and if it never does, then that'll always be there.
Well, and I love the fact that you seem so grounded and level-headed and really think through, these opportunities that come your way. Well,
because opportunity, one thing I've learned the hard way is that nothing is free in this world. Yeah. Everything has a price, and especially in the music business, and most often the price is a whole lot more than you've got.
Right. I'm really excited to see you at the Conroe Cajun Catfish Festival again. Sam Riggs is going to be playing Friday, October 14th at 8:30 p.m. on the Texas stage. We will be out there. We'll have a booth right next to the stage, so maybe we'll hook up and come over and say hello. And we have some really cool koozies and hats and stuff we'd love to share with you.
That'd be awesome.
And so if people want to go and learn more about Sam Riggs and all your albums, and you've got some really good press releases on your site, what's your website?
Yeah, the website to go to is samriggsmusic.com.
Okay.
And Twitter is @SamRiggsMusic, and Instagram is @SamRiggsMusic. And I run both of those myself. Facebook is, I have no idea. So my management takes care of Facebook. But,
okay, that's fair.
Twitter are my thing.
Facebook is a different animal, I'll tell you.
Well, they turned it into this machine of like, you pay this much money and you can get this many likes, and it's like I don't even know how to hook up my damn credit card to my phone. How am I gonna figure out how to, it's like.
Well, I like the organic likes. I don't like to pay for them, so I like it truly organic.
And my manager gets so mad because he'll post all this stuff on there and he'll pay for promotion. He'll get a couple hundred likes, and then I'll just send one of my pictures from Instagram over to Facebook. I don't even change the tag. It still says @ and it's all improper tagging and everything.
Right.
800,
Aww.
Like, what in the heck, man?
So he's got to go in and fix it for you?
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, Sam, thank you so much for chatting with us at Voice of the Woodlands, and I'd love for you to download the app or listen on your desktop. It's a free app on your phone. Again,
and it's called Voice of the Woodlands?
voiceofthewoodlands.com. There's a free app on the Android or Apple Store.
Okay.
It's all free, and it's everything from Willie and Waylon to yourself and Roger Krager, Corey Morrow, Pat Green, Johnny Lee. So I don't know how long you're going to be staying at the festival, but he's going to be performing Sunday.
Well, we may be long gone by Sunday, but if I can, I will.
Well, if he's around earlier, you should, if you haven't met him, he's a very cool cat.
Well, I look forward to that. I have not met him yet. I'd like to.
Yeah. So if I find out that if he's around on Friday, I'll try to connect you to.
That sounds good, huh?
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you have a fabulous day.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I appreciate your time, and you have an outstanding day as well.
Thank you.